doing turkey sandwiches with Doritos.
Oh yeah, man. That's
Crunch them
on the sandwich.
Yeah. Like I can't really eat a turkey sandwich unless it's got that Dorito. Just like a regular like bunny bread.
You're just spoiled now. You want that little crunch to go with it.
I'm even like addicted to bunny bread again.
Oh man, it's so soft.
I do Nature Valley.
No more. No more. I don't care about the healthy breads.
I don't think it's that
You
healthy.
got that Dave's Insanity bread.
Dave's is good with the seeds in it.
It's a seed bread, and I guess this guy who got sent to jail, and
I don't know the story.
In jail.
Let's go in the store. He went to jail.
He went to jail, but then he learned how to bake and started this company when he got out.
Prison bread.
Yeah, prison bread.
Where can I get that at?
I got it at Walmart. Saw yesterday.
Yeah, you can get it at Walmart.
But it's got seeds, and he's got a bunch of different brands of it now.
It's good, man. It is good.
Speaking about talking about, like we had Mr. Lewis's birthday at Fly Llama on the 28th. And Mr. Lewis he's always around and he hangs out. Well, Dave, his daughter's boyfriend has Two Brooks Farm, the rice company up there in North Mississippi. Well, they brought some rice down and used their rice, and Dave did a rice lager, and it was really good. Like it was
like white, see-through white.
Yeah, I mean it's just a light. It was their lightest. It was a light beer at Fly Llama, but it was just funny that I don't know. Now I got Two Brooks Brothers rice.
Right, that's good, man.
So where can I get Dave's bread at?
You know what? I get it at Bruno's with a little supermarket.
Where's that at?
Yeah, where's Bruno's?
What is it? Is it Bruno's or is it
Brooms?
Brooms.
Brooms. Okay.
Yeah, Brooms. They have everything there.
They had a Bruno's in Mobile.
Did they?
Yeah, it used to be a grocery store like a Rouse's.
Right.
It's called it's more like a Whole Foods, like called Bruno's. But yeah, Gary, you can hit that intro.
We're back, baby.
We'd like to thank our sponsors for this show. Gulf South Productions, Daniel Zada and the team for all events, concerts. They throw the big events. They do it right. Check out Gulf South Productions. Golden Gulf Insurance Services, property, casualty, home, auto. We got you. 228-207-0298. Match Spy Appointment Gautier. 228-623-7230. 50 to 8% off.
Coffee and beer is the greatest thing, dear. Sometimes I think about her in her lovely dress. She said she want coffee and beer. Took her down the street. Come on down, let's have ourselves a real good time. So coffee and beer.
Yep, new intro.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. All right. Do you want to introduce our guest we have with us today?
No, man, you go ahead.
No, you go. It's been a couple weeks.
Bart.
Brooks is back in town.
All right, we've got BIloxi Bicycle Works, Mr. Bart in the building. What's going on, sir?
Man, how you guys doing? It's so good to be here with y'all.
Welcome to Kathy and Susie's kids, man.
I feel very at home with Kathy and Susie's kids.
Good. That's what we're going for.
And you're also YouTube channel The Bicycle Rider.
Yeah, The Bicycle Rider. A lot of people don't even know I have a YouTube channel.
I went down the rabbit hole.
Oh, once you do, you'll get to know me through that.
If you want to know like knowledge on certain new bikes coming out, electric bikes, up and coming bikes, price range on bikes, he does these reviews.
Yeah, a lot of YouTube reviews on bicycles, bicycle components. Now we're starting to get some lifestyle stuff in there. So it's kind of a channel that does many things, but
so like
it started off as a bicycle review.
Drinking 3 raw eggs in the morning, wake up, ride to work. You said you'd ride to work every almost every day.
To work with a camera. I'm doing this new thing about bells. Because when you're riding to work in the morning, you got a lot of times there's a lot of walkers and joggers, and I've got certain bells that people react differently to. So I've got one bell called the Spur Cycle, and it's supposed to create a really nice, pleasant tune. So I've been testing it, and it's true. When I ring that bell, I usually get a pleasant reaction from people.
All right, is there one that you get just like a FU reaction?
Yes, I do, and it doesn't have that different of a tone, but it's a plastic bell, and sometimes when you ring that bell, people kind of look at you like you're the devil and you're trying to boss them around. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to get to work.
Is it like electric bell, like the old school bell style, like the slider bell?
It's old school. It's got a dinger, but it's kind of funny because when I show them to people want to touch it because we're so used to touch. So people say, how does it work? And they touch it. And I said, no, you got to hit the striker on it. So it's still old school, but it really has a nice sound. I wish I would have brought one up.
How many bells do you think are out there?
There really are a lot of bells. I only sell 3 different models in the shop. One I give away for free. So if you want a free bell, that happens to be the one that doesn't get the best reaction, but it's also doesn't cost me much. So if you want a bell, we want to keep everybody.
Oh, you got one with your logo on it.
I need one with my logo. I'm sure you've got some connections to make that happen.
Probably help out.
There's some local business. Yeah, there's some people down here. We can
some
figure
bell
this out.
businesses.
You know what I used to do on a bike? And I just thought about this. I used to flatten a can and then I put it on my tire so to make a dirt bike sound.
Right.
You ever do that?
No, I didn't. No.
You ever do that?
I've done it with a playing card and a what do you call a clothes hanger.
Yeah, where I've seen that where it just kind of like clicks through the spokes.
Yeah, no, we would run over cans and just get a little sound.
So Bart, when was the first time you learned how to ride a bike? How old were you?
Ooh, I was pretty young. I was so young, I probably don't even remember the date, but I remember it was a little blue bike. And I wanted to go to a friend's house. And my dad said, if you can ride this bike, you can go to your friend's house. Of course, without training wheels. And so I said, yeah, I'll make this happen. And I hit the ground a couple times. The next thing you know, I got enough speed going down the hill and I made it to my friend's house and it taught me freedom. I said, if I could learn how to ride this bike, my dad's giving me permission. So
what was the bike?
It was a little blue. It was a girl's bike. It didn't even have a boy's bar on it. So it was a little blue girl's bike, but it gave me freedom. And I don't think I ever let go of that. Even to this day, I feel free when I ride my bike. So age-wise, I know I was a lot younger than the rest of the kids in my neighborhood when I got on that bike.
I was a late bloomer. I didn't ride a bike till I was probably 10.
Well, that gives you a chance. You didn't skin your knees as bad.
You're right. You're right.
Well, a lot of it, like my grandparents lived in Cedar Grove and they had, it was a neighborhood. But my parents had an oyster driveway. So at my parents' house, I couldn't ride bikes. Right. And in Latimer, there's really not a lot of people drive kind of fast.
Right.
So I did get to experience the neighborhood. And but yeah, when I'd go up to Latimer, my parents' house, I tried to ride in the dirt, but they didn't have I didn't know what a mountain bike was back then.
Right. Now Latimer is very popular for riding. We start from the Latimer Community Center a lot. So Latimer has turned into a bicycle mecca. So anybody that sees us out on the roads on Saturday morning on Latimer, we appreciate you being nice to us.
What kind of bikes do y'all ride though? Is it like a mountain bike or is it like a speed bike?
When we're out at Latimer, a lot of times we're riding more of a speed bike, a road bike, because there's a lot of roads out there that are really not heavily trafficked with vehicles. So
is that what you look for most?
Yeah, I do look for that. And now we've got something called a gravel bike, which is a speed bike with a little bit fatter tire. And we are looking for those really rural roads. The rougher the better sometimes, because those, lower tire pressures makes it comfortable. So we're riding gravel. So a lot of our gravel roads.
When you call a road bike, is that that's the light carbon fiber style bikes?
Yeah, they don't necessarily have to be carbon fiber, but most of the time a road bike's going to have a drop style handlebar, so you can get into aerodynamic position and a skinnier tire.
Like Lance Armstrong style.
Yeah, like a Lance Armstrong style. And that's what we consider a road bike. But it is kind of a general term because we have people come into the bike shop and they say they want a road bike. And really, they're just meaning something that they can ride on the roads.
Like
maybe
a beach cruiser.
Like a beach cruiser or a hybrid.
Necessarily, yeah.
So it does take some skill nowadays to get people, pointed in the right direction of what kind of bike they want. Because it used to be a bicycle was a bicycle. Now there's several different genres of bicycles. So road bike is one of those terms that we hear, and it's kind of funny to me because they don't necessarily mean a road bike like what I'm thinking of, what we ride Latimer on.
So you have to be pretty much an ambassador to all types of biking. I mean, did your love start with that? Did you have to grow into it as you opened up the bike shop? And
yeah,
I mean, you can't sell something you don't, I guess, experience, right?
Exactly. And I think one thing, because I've always been a bike geek. So, I've had friends with a lot of different style bikes. And, a lot of times I'd go ride BMX with one group of friends, and then I'd go ride roadie with another group of friends. I'd go hang out on the beach with another group of friends on the beach cruisers. And then my true love really is mountain biking. I love off-road mountain biking. But for me, being a social butterfly, I wanted to share this passion even at a young age. I had to ride several different types of bikes. So even when people come into my bike shop now and they want to ask about a certain type of bike, I can usually answer that question with passion because I really do just enjoy riding bikes. A lot of people think it's just high competitive nature for me. I just want to go out there and be fast. It's not that. I really enjoy just cruising on the beach now, you know.
Okay.
So I think opening the bike shop has definitely helped bloom that. One, to get so many more people in the sports, you can't just, you know, solidify one type of sport and say, this is all I want to do. All I want to do is be a road biker or a mountain biker. You know, you got to go and open up your heart to and your mind to a lot of different types of cycling. And to me, that gives me, you know, solitude and happiness.
So what gave you solitude and happiness other than biking?
I like to fish.
Oh, heck yeah.
I like to fish.
Me too.
You know, so I do have a lot of hobbies, and some people think I'm just a workaholic. And
I've never seen you not working. I mean, or repping.
My goal someday is not to work as much. If I could play all day, I would. But probably most of it would be on a bicycle or holding a fishing pole. Even when, you know, there's a lot of times when people ask, you know, hey, what do you do? Most of the time, I was an accountant for 20 something years. So when people ask me what I did, I didn't always just say, hey, I'm an accountant. I'd say, well, I ride my bike and I fish. You know, like
being an accountant wasn't fun for you?
No, it wasn't. You know, I didn't hate it by any means. I think hate's a very strong word, but it wasn't my passion. It gave me a good career. My dad put a work ethic into me. And of course, you know, right out of high school, I wanted to go to stuntman school and I wanted to be a car racer and all these fun jobs. My dad said, you know, get a good career, do it on the weekends. And I took his advice, and it really probably helped me out, you know, throughout the years to become, you know, pretty stable. Doing
where did you go to college at or go to school?
Colorado State University. So I went to, you know, high school in Fort Collins, Colorado, and then went to Colorado State University,
which is like the most active place
very
in America,
active campus. Right? Yeah. When I went, it was also the 1988. It was the #1 party school in the nation.
Oh wow!
Did you ever party?
Yeah, I partied a lot. That's why I drink water nowadays, because I partied a little too much when I was younger. But I still like to party in my head, but I do it with water nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smart. Know your limits.
That's not water, guys. That is not water.
It's in a red Solo cup, but
so accounting, Colorado. How long did you stay around Colorado? Like what brought you here to Biloxi?
A girl. I chased a girl to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. That relationship didn't work out, at least with the girl. We're still friends, but I fell in love with the area. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with this coast. And I did a stint when I moved from Colorado. I went to South Florida, and South Florida was fantastic. I lived on Siesta Key, right on the beach, and I love it down there. I really liked it. But I wanted to kind of grow up a little bit, and I moved to Fairhope, Alabama, which was it was just such a clean, pristine little town. And that was cool. And from Fairhope, I chased a girl over here to the Mississippi Gulf.
Fairhope was too clean. You had to come back over here.
Yeah, so I had to mix it up
a little bit of fun.
Yeah, Fairhope's nice. I lived in Spanish Fort.
Okay, yeah.
So like right where the Bruno's was telling you about in Baldwin County, like they had a Bruno's grocery store.
Maybe that's where it came from my head.
Yeah, Bruno's is right there, like on the Seaway.
Mm-hmm. I used to play around in Spanish Fort quite a bit, you know, because there were some bicycle trails there, and a little bicycle shop called Eastern Shore Cycles. And that bike shop is still around. So Phil, shout out, man.
How many bike shops are there down here on the coast?
Here in the coast, let's say on Mississippi, we've got about 4 different bike shops. So there's Biloxi Bicycle Works. We got Try Hard Sports over in Ocean Springs. We've got Everything Kayak, and also Cyclist Choice over on 49.
Okay.
So there's four bike shops, and we all get along pretty well. And we've got, what we do have is one awesome cycling community, and it's really sparked by a club called the Gulf Coast Bicycle Club, it's one of the most active clubs in the nation.
How many people?
We're getting ready to do our banquet next year. I think total members is probably about 400.
Wow, that is a lot.
A big banquet coming up, and the banquet's kind of like what sparked me to open up the bicycle shop.
Really?
I went to the banquet about 4 years ago.
So is that kind of like y'all's Mardi Gras ball?
Yeah, it's kind of like our Mardi Gras ball. We do all kinds of fun games.
Is there a king and queen of
yeah, there usually is a king and a queen, or who's got the most miles, or I mean, it's really a cool
What's
thing.
An average? I mean, what would you respect? What's your mileage?
Well, you know,
do you keep track of it?
I do. This year I'm about 5,000 miles, which is about half of what I should be. There's a lot of people that have 14. I think Brian Teets has 14,000 miles this year. He's retired, newly retired, so he's having fun in his retirement.
14,000?
14,000 miles. Go, Brian. We just did a ride for him first day of the year. So
do you prefer listening to music?
I ride by myself. A lot of times I listen to music. I use the aftershocks. So
okay, what's your music of choice?
I was listening to some Kid Rock on the way over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was listening to some Kid Rock. But
like it.
of course, I'm from Belize, Central America, so reggae's in my soul.
Oh, nice.
Reggae's in my soul. But if you were to look at my MP3 player, you're gonna see everything on there. I mean, everything on there from jazz to reggae to Kid Rock. It just, I mean, what you were playing here a little bit ago with Grid. What was that? Some rap from
was it Gary? Is that Central C? It's UK rapper. And songs Doji.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I like listening to everything. So, but when I'm riding with a group, a lot of times I want to tune in on that group, and that's kind of my music in my ear at that time.
Do you ever feel like you're responsible for these riders? Being like the figure of, are you riding from the back to the front and having to maintain a relationship and check in with people like, you doing all right, Karen?
Absolutely.
Need some water.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's a Karen out there. We care about Karen. So yeah, absolutely. And I've had to clean up my reputation a lot on the coast, because even though the bike shop's been open about 3 years, I've had my finger on the pulse of cycling around here for many, many years. And I used to just be a hammer. So, people show up to my rides now.
Is a hammer a shit talker?
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I grew up in some tough locker rooms, so that's all part of it, But the hammer is the guy that wants to make every ride a race. And I've had to clean up my reputation with that, because sometimes we just want to have fun and not
That's
race
what we were
at all.
talking about earlier before we went live.
Yeah.
You're saying that, sometimes you just kind of got to get there and ride.
Just get there and ride. And believe me, I love that spirit of competition. My brain needs it, but there's a time and a place for it.
Has anybody ever cut your brake lines or anything?
Yeah, I got to watch these guys sometimes before we get a ride when they go goof around by
They're
my bike.
scared of you?
A lot of times it's just play like, Bart, while I'm over there, I'm going to mess up your brakes or something. But really, we've got a lot of camaraderie, so I don't think anybody would purposely do that
I can
anymore.
see it in some competition, though, with some serious money. Like, there's got to be in other countries where they kind of have to mess with people's bikes.
I've raced down in Belize, Central America. It's a lot more cutthroat down there. And of course, that was during the 80s, so I think here in 2000.
What were you wearing in the 80s on a bike?
Spandex. And I've still got one of the
Neons?
kids. I had a purple jersey that said Belize Dry Cleaners. It was that old, I don't remember how they used to make the shirts with the letters.
Yeah.
Nowadays everything is fancy and so plush.
It's all printed out.
So this was just Belize Dry Cleaners, and I had that right across my chest, and I was so proud to have that jersey. And in Belize back in the 80s, if you were a cyclist, you were someone special. Like, you don't really get into cycling because you want to be super popular. There's other sports that are way more popular than cycling. A lot of times you have to get into cycling because it's something your soul feels is good.
So there's like a high associated
there's
with it.
Absolutely a high. That's why I can drink water nowadays, and I still walk around pretty high. It's just because the endorphins you get.
How long does it take to kick in?
For
Immediately?
Immediately. But really, what you see is after the ride high. It's after the ride high, and that's what I really, believe me, I've spent a lifetime to hit podiums. I like hitting podiums. But that is diminishing as I have the bike shop and I see people getting high other ways. We're doing this thing called Big Wheel BMX now. It has nothing to do about being fast. It has nothing to do. It's about pure enjoyment. But what I like to see are these guys that haven't had anything in their life like that in 20 years, all of a sudden coming back. I guess there was a BMX track called Sugar Mill around here years ago. Before my time.
Yeah,
and I'm seeing guys that haven't seen each other for 20 years reconnect with this BMX thing. But what I'm seeing is the after talk, guys sitting around afterwards, guys and gals talking about bikes, and just they're on this high. We had a wife show up. Her husband wasn't home. It was 8:30 at night. She said he was going to go ride bikes with his friends. After about 2 weeks, she didn't know what the heck was going on because he hadn't done anything like this for 15 years. So she showed up. She was a little hot when she got out of the truck. She stomped around and she looked around and she saw us all talking. But by this time she had already showed up. So she goes, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm here, talking with my friends. And she goes, well, I see that. And she went home. The next day she came by the bike shop and she apologized. She goes, I am so happy my husband was out there doing that. It just shocked me. Like, I didn't really believe him, but she was just happy he's got this in his life. Now, this guy started out, about 3 miles.
How'd she find where he's at? The Life 360?
He told her. He goes, I'm going to go down to Inner Harbor Park and I'm going to meet up with some guys and go bike riding.
People are on that Live 360 now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Life 360.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I've had it before.
They can track whatever you're doing. Like, you get in a relationship, air tags,
Mhm.
Life 360. I'll have people come up to me and talk about like how they can track, which is fascinating, but that's why I was curious because like she found exactly where it was, pull right up. And
Did
she have a baseball bat?
I bet she had one stuck under the, in case it
Does
was
she
something
need
else.
her own bike so they can spend some quality husband and wife time together?
Well, that's good.
That's the end story. She ended up buying a bike and they are spending time together. And she said he is so much happier.
Well, it's a great hobby, but it's also a good mental health escape too.
Yeah, that's just it. And that's what I really enjoy seeing nowadays. So I'm putting down some of my competition bug and doing a lot more riding just for fun. I'm not going to give up the competition fully.
I've been seeing the kid bikes with no pedals. That's new. Do you sell those?
The balance bikes, absolutely. Yeah, I do sell them.
Oliver's got one down there.
Does he?
They
didn't have those whenever we were kids. It was like sink or swim on the bicycle.
I had a parent come pick up a bike today, and of course we asked him if he wanted the training wheels on it. I didn't know if he did or not. A lot of times we hide the training wheels so kids don't see that, gravitate towards it. So when he came in, I said, "Hey, do you want me to put those training wheels?" He goes, "My kid doesn't need it. He's been on a balance bike." So, he started his kid on this balance bike so the kids get the balance. Then they transition to pedals so much easier because we didn't have that. So our crutch was our training wheels. Right. You take that crutch away and kids get that balance.
Your dad or your brother pushing you and you hit you fall.
I hit a tree.
Yeah.
As soon as I realized I was like on the bike by myself, I turned around and I looked for the person that I was holding and they weren't there. And I turned back around and boom, right into a pine tree.
Right. Hey, let's get in there real quick though. We got Corey Christie.
Corey.
What about unicycles? Preston Plowed. What's up, dudes? Love the show. Dude? Corey Christie goes, Kid Rock. Corey, you told me you love Kid Rock.
Corey got in a bike wreck.
He did.
Not wearing a helmet.
So let's go into that.
Okay. We gave Corey, we donated a helmet to Corey the next day.
Good.
And now Corey's been able to get quite a few bike parts because of safety. Thanks, Lauren, for being.
But how'd you find out about this wreck?
I heard it through the grapevine that Corey had got into a wreck, and of course, my heart.
It was bad.
It was bad.
What did you do? Like, what was the steps in this wreck?
He was coming back from the museum, the Maritime Museum, and along BIloxi right there. And I believe a car didn't see him and kind of plowed into Corey. You know what? No, it was a pothole. That's what it wasn't a car. It wasn't a car. My accident on Oak Street was a car.
Oh, you got hit.
I got hit as well. I ride my bike a lot, so your chances increase as
over the handlebars.
Oh, I went over the handlebars. Yeah, landed on this guy's hood. No blood.
Cuss words.
I tried to be very calm, so I was wearing the BIloxi Bicycle Works jersey, and I didn't want to, I kept pretty calm through the whole thing. And he was a Vietnamese gentleman that really, you could tell, was scared that he hit me.
Did he pull out the wallet and just start throwing money at you?
No, that would have probably been an easier solution. But no, he did not. He did not. The insurance company took care of everything. I really haven't talked to that gentleman since. I was kind of hoping maybe he'd come by the bike shop and I could tell him I was okay.
But now, like, your head's on a swivel ultimately.
Oh, yeah. And it was before. Just things happen. And I even, I looked at this guy in the eye before, I had the right away. I looked him in the eye. He gave me the I see you, and then he took off anyway, so
he gave you what you thought was I see.
Oh yeah. I hit myself pretty good, knocked my helmet off my head.
Oh wow.
Knocked my helmet off my head. It ended up being okay.
How many bike wrecks have you been?
Yeah, I had a concussion, and I've met several of the people I ride with now at the hospital the next day when I actually went back in to get my MRI and everything. So thank you, everybody from the hospital. Now they come out and they ride bikes with me. So
solid. So was that your first wreck or?
No, I grew up on a bike.
Okay. So how many times have you been hit by a car?
At least 5 times. At least five. Now I got to say
I feel like it's that National Lampoons where there's like, how many times have you been struck by lightning? And he's like,
some of that I got to say is my fault for acting like when you're younger, going through an intersection, not paying attention, not really understanding. So
what's the worst out of the 5? What is the worst wreck you've ever had?
This last one was probably one of the worst ones I had. One, because it caught me totally off guard. I put my trust in that eyeball to eyeball, and it went down anyway.
Is that what you go for? Is make eye contact with people?
I do like making eye contact with people. I don't just roll through an intersection. You know, if I see a car, I try to make eye contact. And
yeah, and that they're like all loopy heads or something. You at least get okay, maybe I shouldn't.
Well, you know, one of the things I believe in people. You know, people do not want to hurt other people. You know, I think things generally happen as an accident. I do ride with you know, daytime running lights, and I see a lot of people, you know, they'll look twice. I think those lights are very important. You know, I'll see, you can kind of blend in, but if people see that flashing light, they will stop and double take. And a lot of times I get the, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, that's all right. You stopped, you know, like you didn't actually
you
hit
get
me.
a right away. Like, I mean, with you riding a bike, and you're right away.
Yeah. Well,
what's the rules on that?
The rules, you really got to, you know, basically just like a car. So when you're on a bicycle, you don't have any more rights than a car, or a car shouldn't have any more rights than you. You know, so you should have at least 3 feet, you know, so a car shouldn't be closer to 3 feet from you, but it's also your responsibility to stop at stoplights, stop at stop signs, you know, look around and be aware.
Do you use hand signals?
I don't use hand signal. That's almost something of the past, because you do have to take your hands off the handlebars to do a hand signal. And most people don't know what that is anyway.
Yeah, I know.
I point. Don't. You know, if I'm coming to a 4-way stop or something, I'll do this to let the car know.
I do the same thing on my scooter.
Yeah, I like to point, because people pretty much know, hey, he's going to go that way. Because if you do this or this or this,
what do you think about sidewalks? Though? I mean, do you ride on sidewalks?
I don't ride on sidewalks. A lot of it's very dangerous to ride on a sidewalk. You know, unless you're really going super, super slow and you plan on stopping at every intersection, because what cars do, they don't stop at a sidewalk. They stop at the road.
Yeah.
You know, so now I'm going to work with some of the casinos along our new beach boardwalk, because those sidewalks there, it's a multi-purpose path. And in front of the casinos, you get a lot of people that pull out. And after years, you know, when you're taught to drive, you're taught to look both ways. But years and years of having to look left, you don't look what's coming right. So, you know, having a good crosswalk or an intersection there, riding a sidewalk, you're really putting yourself at danger, and the pedestrians, because a bicycle just moves faster than that.
Can you ride on the Ocean Springs BIloxi Bridge?
Yeah, I ride that almost every day.
Y'all are allowed to?
Yeah, we're allowed to. I try to be very courteous to walkers and joggers. That's why we had the little bell.
So you are on the sidewalk there.
Yeah, I'm on the sidewalk there, because that's really more of a multi-purpose path. And we are going to be doing some PSAs as cycling becomes a lot more popular. Some public service announcements just saying, look, here in South Mississippi, we can all be friendly to each other. Bicycles, please be courteous to the walkers and joggers. Walkers and joggers, please be aware that bicycles are coming. We're not racing up and down that beach boardwalk, but just mechanical advantage. You know, an average person walking is about 2 to 4 miles an hour. Average jogger is 4 to 8 at a fast point. And on a bicycle, you just have that mechanical advantage. You go 10 plus miles an hour without even really trying.
What's your average?
Now that depends. Like when we're out on Latimer and stuff, we can average 22, 24 mile an hour. When I'm riding at night by myself, getting home from, you know, Biloxi to Ocean Springs, I look at my average is about 12, you know, so when we did our BMX ride the other night, our average was 8.
What's your top speed?
I can go pretty fast on a bike. If I'm on my current road bike on a flat surface, I can go 30 plus miles.
How fast have you ever gone? Do you know?
I've going downhill. I've hit 60.
What?
I've hit 60 in Colorado going downhill.
That doesn't scare you?
I like it.
It's like a rush.
Yeah. Now these new bikes are so stable. You know, maybe some of the older bikes I had that weren't so tuned up, you start getting those speed wobbles. I like turning that kind of energy instead of being scared, being focused. Our new bikes are really stable. Like this aero bike, I go 30 down the back bay of Biloxi on Saturday mornings on this thing.
Is that your creme de la creme? That's your everyday rider?
No, break that bike out, you know, for certain rides.
Okay.
I ride a regular hybrid bike most of the time.
But you gotta have. Let me just guess. You probably got 20 bikes.
I've got close to 15 now. I culled out but there's a bike for different purposes.
No, I know, but I mean, you love it so much. You have
I got
bike
a lot
collection.
of bikes,
like,
yeah.
It depends on how you feel. You're gonna take this bike, and I was watching. Because I did my little research when you come in here. I want to try to figure this out. But they got like Lotus Sports came out with a bike in the 90s. It's an all carbon bike they banned because it's doing like 56 kilometers
Kilometers, yeah,
an hour, and it's like they banned it, but like that bike, it to this day is like one of the top bikes.
Why would they ban that, Bart?
The UCI, they said it would give an unfair advantage. So
Garrett, can you pull that bike up? It's called the Lotus.
The
Sport.
Lotus, and it's still one of the fastest bikes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it still banned only in competition? Like,
yeah, well, it's outdated now. So now there's kind of getting in. Of course,
what is that bike running now? What is that costing that bike? Because I mean, like for a true bike, like person that's into bikes, they have, and man, I'm being honest, like 80s, 90 bikes.
Oh yeah,
are like a Tahoe Z71.
Yeah,
from 2000. Like it holds value, or Toyota Tacoma. So these bikes go up in value.
Yeah.
My dad's got an old one. We were looking it up the other day, and it went for $3 or $4 grand.
Right. Yeah. There's a Lotus right there. I guarantee if you had that bike, you could buy a car with them, or you can buy a house with what that bike would bring, you know. But that's a very specialty bike.
But people probably have that. Older people.
Oh yeah.
Probably have it in their garage, and they call you up. Hey, I have some bikes in my garage. Do you ever get them phone calls?
I do. Just around here, Hurricane Katrina, you know, rusted a lot of those out. So you still get some rare bikes, but not as many here on the Gulf Coast as you would other places because of hurricanes. You know, the storms really took a lot of bikes. Now,
Did you save a bike?
Yeah, sometimes when it's rusted from the inside out, no. Anything's possible. You can rebuild a bike, but a lot of times people don't want to put the money into it. Like an old car, people realize you can go buy a new car for what this restoration comes, but we get people that just bring us, you know, a bike. And of course I love bikes, and I try not to diminish anybody's, you know, if they're excited about a bike, I'm excited with them. But when you break down the cost, you know, it's people.
So you do restorations.
We do restorations. Very few right now, just because people aren't used to the cost of what that's going to be.
You're 3 buildings over there, right?
Right.
Yeah. So did it start off 3 buildings? Or
no, started off just 1, but we had to scale really quickly. Of course, when we opened, was in the biggest bicycle boom that the world has ever seen because COVID hit, you know. So when COVID hit, of course, I was
already shadow banned.
Yeah, we didn't know what the heck was going on. You know, we didn't know what the industry. I said, you know, I just quit my career and I started a bicycle shop. Now there's this thing called COVID, a worldwide pandemic. What's it going to do to my business? You know, like I just hired people.
Yeah, people wanted to get out though because you can't take people
did.
Away. I mean, I think look, you know, they got COVID, but they also got mental health.
Well, yeah, and that's where, I mean, I'm so glad we were deemed essential business, you know, because people needed us. People needed a break.
Did you see some people's changes in their, well, not only being a part of a group of people to go ride with?
Oh, yeah. The roads were empty for cars for once. But yeah, all of a sudden it got crazy for us. And we had just opened up. So it's not like we had years of experience. I mean, I went from accounting to retail.
So
I
you
didn't
have
read
to
a
hire
book on
a pretty
retail.
serious CPA now to make sure that you guys are covered. Or
Yeah,
what?
yeah, we've got to, you know, I do some of our accounting, but on the base level, you know, I don't have time for it anymore. You know, I'm kind of immersed in the bicycle shop. So.
Did you sell did Santa buy a lot of bikes from you?
Santa did. Santa was helping kids and families out with bikes this year big time.
I love it.
Yeah, I appreciate the support from the Gulf Coast. People shop locally, and I was happy about that. Now, you know, on the other hand, since Christmas, we have been fixing a lot of bikes that people bought off the internet because they didn't know what they were buying. It's sad that some of the quality is so subpar on some of these bikes. And I've had to make some pretty hard phone calls saying, you know, we took this thing out of the box and I don't think it's safe. If you just need something to put under the Christmas tree, we can do that. But if don't
so you do assembling too?
Oh yeah, we're happy to assemble bikes. I would rather me assemble it rather than someone try to assemble it, have it in pieces, and then bring it.
What would like an assembly charge cost?
About $80.
Assemble bike.
Yeah, about $80 to assemble an Amazon bike or a Walmart bike. We have so much more problem doing that than we do.
How fast can you put a bike together?
Well, I could put a bike together pretty fast, but we try not to be too quick about it because there's some pretty.
Can you do it under 5 minutes?
No.
20 minutes.
If I was at a race and I had to, yeah, but really I lose a lot of sales because people come into town and they say, you know, I could say I have that bike. It's in the warehouse. Well, can you have it built by the end of the day? And a lot of times they said, no, I don't want to rush through it.
Are there any races where you get your bike in a box and you have to build your bike and then you race with it?
No, but that could be something cool to be done. Now, I have seen bike building contests. I've personally built a bike on a racetrack before, so people knew I was using a stock bike.
Because they were questioning you.
Well,
'Cause you're
sometimes
such a
the
winner.
bicycle shop owner usually has the best equipment known to man. I kind of like to underbike. I like to take a bike off the showroom floor and race it just to show, these bikes are capable. The bike that I'm
I
selling.
mean, you're selling it, yeah,
Yeah,
right there.
I mean,
So what's your East Bay magazine or your Car and Driver magazine of like the bicycle world?
Bicycling magazine. There's what
It's called Bicycling Magazine.
bicycling magazine.
do you
and it's-
advertise in it?
No, I don't. I've advertised for employment before, but I've never advertised in that. It's such a big publication. Now, what I did though, I got a call from one of the editors about bicycling on the Gulf Coast. So I did get one of our routes out of LaRue published in Bicycle Magazine as for one of our gravel routes. So now
LaRue Road, like up in Latimer.
Yeah,
Is that your
That's where
thing?
we used
though?
to go
Is that your,
drinking in the woods.
Is it a monthly magazine?
It's a monthly magazine. I get a copy of it at the shop anytime, so stop on by. I loved it. It's a very cool
They
magazine.
probably should do a whole article on you.
I was always wondering, like,
Do you have a nickname in the biking world?
with a name like Bart. I'm just
That's just
Bart.
it.
Now around Biloxi, a lot of people just call me the bicycle man.
Okay.
When I go to the
Oh,
grocery
okay.
store, I'm jogging through, division
Bicycle Bart.
street, something. I'm bicycle Bart. So I guess there was a bicycle bill at one time in
I
Biloxi.
think he was a homeless guy.
Was he? Yeah.
don't know.
I
I
heard
just-
he gave the mayor a hard time. I get along with our mayor. I figured.
Just
so-
shut up, Fofo.
Ride wheelies.
Yes, well, I don't know if he's rode wheelies, but he's got on a bike. He got on the e-bike and had a good time. He was going to just take it around the parking lot, and he ended up going around the block. So
Way too fun. On
yeah,
those things.
yeah, Folk
All right,
was
so-
definitely pro bicycle.
You wanted to be a stunt man when you were younger.
Yeah.
Okay, so that tells me that you've hit some pretty wicked bike ramps in your days.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
was-
let's talk about what you've ramped.
okay. Well, we used to huck. Living
Whoa,
in
no, I
Colorado.
don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
So
What is a huck?
we would there would be cliffs,
Okay.
and who could make it down that drop,
Okay.
So I was that guy that, what these kids are doing nowadays blows what anything I did away in the 80s. But we made some massive ramps out of wood, but that's back in the day when they would be building a house next door and the construction workers didn't mind if you took a shovel over there and used some wood and made a jump, and they'd watch you. I think because insurance, nowadays you can't really go do that anymore. But we had some massive, massive jumps. I mean, 2-3 car jumps. I don't know. And
Did you break any arms?
It was like
I
a
broke my
BMX
collar,
bike?
a BMX bike, and then of course in the mountain bikes, because once you had gears, you can increase your speed. So
What are the one bikes that people like? They're like the mountain bikes that do wheelies and stuff now on the streets that I'm seeing.
you're right. Well, we're doing more of that on big wheel BMX bikes.
They're doing front wheel. They're doing a front flip wheelie.
yeah, they do all. I mean,
Can you do BMX tricks like that?
I can do BMX tricks, and actually, there were the Flatland tournament from Red Bull was just in New Orleans like 2 weeks ago. I didn't get a chance to go, but my friend Alex Versa got to go, and he's been in BMX and Biloxi for a lifetime, so he's pretty happy. We've got this BMX scene now. Now, some of us are pulling wheelies, but some of us are just riding around having fun. We do have
What's a BMX bike like that run nowadays?
less than $1,000.
Okay.
So less than
They're like,
$1,000.
what,
and you get-
$250 back in the day when we were kids?
Yeah, I remember buying a really sweet, Schwinn BMX bike for
Dude,
$300.
I bought a from the Ocean Springs bike shop they used to have. I bought a Haro Slim Jim edition. The kid won it. It was like 100 of them were made, and the kid won it, and his mom didn't let him have it, so I bought the bike, and I shouldn't have got rid of it.
No,
One of the bikes was a Slim Jim when it was exact and I kick myself every time, but I think I paid $200 for that.
right. I mean, the prices have increased, but so has the technology.
What is your average just bike run now?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I really don't have anything less than $500 in the shop. I would say a good average price would be about $800 for a good hybrid. But when you look at it, I tell people this in the shop all the time. Like, if I could find a good $250 bike, I feel good selling, I would. To me, it's not about a price point. It's about quality.
Right.
And I can't
I
find
respect
anything
that.
less than that $500 that doesn't come back to me with problems. If you buy it from a department store and it has a problem, they're happy to give your money back or another bike off the shelf.
Right. They're not trying to fix it.
I have a
service
mechanic I've got to pay. So I've got to sell things that don't break.
What's the higher end of a road? What's your most expensive bike?
$16,000. You know, we don't sell those every day, but
if this is what you do, this is your sport.
What does a $15,000 bike do that a $10,000 bike doesn't do?
For instance, I'm on my bike that I'm riding right now is about $8,000. That's not my everyday bike, you know, so I don't have the $15,000 bike. I do work on a lot of them, but a lot of it's about weight, you know, very lightweight, but you also have stiff. So it's hard to get that combination. Of course, they're doing it now with some really high-end carbon fibers that cost a lot of money, a lot of engineering. I went out to Colorado last year before the launch of my bike, and I sat down with the engineering, and he totally geeked out on all these frame tubes and dimensions and shapes and why that bike was worth that type of money.
What's the name of the bike?
I've got a Specialized Ethos.
Mine. How do you spell that? And Garrett, can you find that?
It's a ATHOS. And
Is that
it's
Greek?
Oh, yeah, there's Misha.
Exactly.
She does pottery and art.
Yeah, Misha, what's happening, girl?
Hey,
George, are any youth groups going to form anytime soon?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, George, we want you to be president of the youth group. I talked to your dad about it the other day on the phone.
Oh, that's awesome.
George is a very
Shout out George.
cool kid, man. Cool kid. He's a good negotiator. He had to negotiate with his dad because his dad wanted to come in and buy him a decent bike, but wasn't aware that he was going to walk out with a $1,300 bike.
Oh.
You know, so George's dad had bought bikes in Biloxi, had a paper out in Biloxi for years, and George's dad brought him down to the local bicycle shop in Biloxi when he was a kid and bought him a bike.
Okay.
And he wanted to share that experience with his son George. But
What's
George,
a Blue Max?
The Blue Max.
What's a Blue Max?
Well, there's plenty of paint jobs that call Blue Max. Oh, there it is right there. There's my Ethos. It's not that sexy, but it rides one of the most phenomenal riding road bikes I've ever been on my life. Normally, I should get a new road bike about every year to keep the current model. I'm going on 2 years with this bike, and I don't know another one I want. I turned down a really,
that's
really
a $16,000 bike.
Yeah, that one is. Mine's a little bit lower end than that, and I still crush souls with it.
Do you like? I see that the butt is higher than the handlebars.
Yeah, that's a seat to bar drop.
Tell me about that. What determines? Is it per person? Is it your comfort level?
It is. It's really flexibility and comfort level.
Aerodynamic.
All adjustable, right?
All adjustable. Now I see people making the mistake of having that because they have the wrong size bike. So they've got to put their seat post way up in the air to get their legs, and their hands are too far down. But on a bike like you just saw, you know, anybody that's going to buy that type of bike usually gets a bike fitting. We have what's called a retool. We measure people for power numbers and make sure the bike's going to fit. But that seat to bar drop, a lot of times pro cyclists have that. So amateur cyclists think that they need that, and it can get way too dramatic. It can be detrimental. You see people walking around.
Fly over forwards.
Yeah, you can fly over forwards. You can be uncomfortable, not put down as much power. You could ride for a half an hour and have to get off rather than 4 hours, you know? So
how much ground does you cover in 4 hours?
100 miles. So
holy shit.
Now that's when we're cooking with a good group. I couldn't do that solo. You need a group and you need aerodynamics to be able to do that. And really
when you say a group, how many people?
You can get too big. So if you got 5 cyclists or 6 cyclists working together aerodynamically, you can get that 100 miles in 4 hours. We've worked hard at it before and failed. I mean, the last Magnolia 100, I mean, it was 4 hours and 13 minutes, you know, so that's everybody working together. So it's a hard goal. But
how about if you got to pee?
You don't.
You don't.
You just don't. You don't even think about it when you're putting that kind of effort.
What about goop? Do you take goop?
Yeah. Now I minimize it just because it's like a little gel you can take when you're cycling. It's very important to fuel. I'm kind of more natural. I don't do a whole lot of goop, but when I do, it works really well.
All right. Is that like a food?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a food. Come by the shop. I'll give you some. It's pretty good stuff. More of it's natural. In the shop, I try not to sell the stuff that's just super sugary. You know, I do a more natural type of gel. But it does help. I mean, there's no way to do those kind of efforts without fueling in between. And goop keeps you from having to stop and eat. It's something you can put in your pack. You suck it down really quick. It just gives you a quick little boost of energy. And you should do one of those roughly, 60 grams every 30 minutes or something.
How many calories are you burning?
I can burn a ton of calories. I mean, 1,000 calories, I mean,
Like
I can go into a deficit really quick.
Really?
Yeah. So we burn a lot of calories.
It's like Matt's dad. Yeah, Matt's dad's Mr. Robert. He's like big into kayaking, working out.
Right.
Like that's his thing. Like he has like if he's not at work with us, he's on a kayak.
Right. I bet
and he's cool. And he's super. He's a heat seeker. So it's Robert, heat seeker Brooks.
Right.
And he was showing me his skeet ski or
skid ski.
Oh yeah.
Surf ski.
And he just got a new one where it's like lightweight, and he like took it off his truck and he was like showing me like the difference in the weight. And I mean, this one's pretty fast. And yeah, he's in the 60s, and but he preps for them races. He loves them races.
See, I've got more of a fun big kayak, but I've been with friends that have their surf skis, and it's kind of like, me with a bicycle on that Athos. I'm just going to go. People are, God, you're so fast on that thing, but that bike is fast, and they're on a hybrid. But I've been in the same situation where I've been in my big fun kayak, and my friend Doug Heller, we just passed away, bless his soul, but he'd be in his surf ski, and he could be back to the Ocean Springs Harbor in 15 minutes, where it took me 45 minutes, so equipment does matter. A lot of times people say, look, it's the engine, it's not the equipment. In today's technology, you can buy speed, and I sell speed, and there's nothing wrong with buying.
I like that.
Okay. Straight up.
Yeah.
So I do, a lot of fishing. We're talking about my Shimano reel versus the Shimano parts that you guys buy, the brakes and the shifters. They have like a reel to retrieve. And like for every one crank, it could be 5 to 7. Is a bike the same way?
Absolutely, with its gear ratios. So it's almost the same thing. I mean, we're getting into 13-speed gears now. Not saying that always more gears the better, because we have a lot of people that will come into the bike shop and say, well, I can go to the department store and get a 21-speed bike. You're selling a 7. But there's a bunch of speeds you don't need on that bike that causes problems. My 7 speeds are what you need for the Gulf Coast. But when you get into 13 speeds for the high end cycling, like we're talking about, it's nice to have small incremental jumps. So you're not spinning out, and so you're not pushing too hard. So it's getting.
You have to shift the speeds?
Yeah, you have to shift the speeds. And now a lot of it's getting electronic shifting. So it makes it super smooth, super easy.
So when you're electronic shifting, do you actually tell it to shift, or does it know to shift?
No, it doesn't know how to shift yet, but that's coming soon. But basically, you're just tapping it. You're tapping it when you're ready to shift. You don't have to throw a lever. You don't have to move anything. You don't have a cable that's in between the shifter and the derailleur. You're just touching it, and it shifts so quick and so smooth and accurately. It moves the same amount every time, just like with your steps on your reel. 1 reel equals 4 revolutions, and cycling has got that way too with its gear ratios. And there's so many different gear ratios for different courses and different different things. Like on the 30-mile-an-hour bike I was talking about, it doesn't have the gears for climbing, but because that's basically a time trial bike. My climbing bike is going to have a different gear ratio because I'm going to need that for climbing.
Do you ever have here's a serious question. You look at the fitness world, you see there is addiction in fitness.
Oh, absolutely.
And do you ever have to pull some people aside that are like, get the runner's high, where you're like, you might need to chill out a little bit, because you're not like, because I mean, if people get into a hobby, they don't leave, like that's all they want to do. Once they get that runner's high, once they get that addiction,
right? I
mean, it's like, it is a drug.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you ever have to pull people aside and be like, hey, slow down a little bit, you're hurting yourself?
Yeah. Oh,
you ever feel that?
I do. I absolutely have to a lot. I mean, because like you said, it does get.
Can you not say the person's name, but could you give an idea of like what kind of situations you've been with some of because I mean, you do sell bikes, but these are your clients, these are people and
I ride with these guys. Yeah, I ride with these guys. I care about them. So, so I've seen, there's a gentleman in my shop today. He knows who he is. I'm not going to mention his name, but he showed me like 3 driver's licenses today over the years of, being a pretty big face to now. I mean, he's pretty slim and feeling healthy, but I've seen him go through the cycle where he was riding way too much and he was peeing blood. I'm like, look, you got to slow down. I know you want to do this, but you're hurting yourself. Let's back off and get you healthy again.
And that's important to you because it's a lot of cases.
Oh, and he brings his family with him. His family loves him, but he was pushing a little too hard. He's backed off. He's healthy now. He's getting ready to race this weekend. He's looking better. And
so let's talk about these races. You've won some of these big races, right?
Yeah, I have won a lot of races. as I'm 53 years old now, I'm not really going for overall wins like I used to. I like winning age groups.
I was going to ask if it's age groups.
Yeah, it's age group, you know.
So it's like a PJ senior, senior tour style.
Exactly. It's just hard to and right now, you know, I'm giving back to the community rather than being selfish. You know, so it's hard for me to stay on these high-end races if you're leading fun rides.
But tell me you have a trophy room somewhere.
I do have it in the shop. I've got one. We have boxes of trophies.
What on some of your videos you were saying Cat 1, Cat 2. What the hell's that?
Those are the different categories, like in golfing where you have a handicap. Cat 1 is almost professional level. Cat 1 Pro is professional. And as you step down, Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 4, it's the different levels of cycling.
What are you in currently?
I stepped down from Cat 1 to Cat 2. So, and I really did that because in this region, I can compete against more people in Cat 2. When I compete in Cat 1, I'm competing against 40 plus rather than 50 plus. I like racing with guys that are 50 plus, you know. But I can race with 20 or 30 people compared to 4 or 5. So when I catted down from Cat 1 to Cat 2, it's so I can race with more people. If I ever do go to a national race and they have a 50 plus Cat 1, I'm in.
So how many Cat 1 rate bikers are in America? Would you willing to guess?
Ooh, in America, there's thousands.
Thousands.
Not
hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, not hundreds.
Not tens of thousands.
Thousands. Just thousands. And when you stepped into Cat 2, you get, you know, tens of thousands. Cat 3, probably 50,000s.
Is there any good prize money?
There is. I'm not after that anymore, you know, but there's good prize money in cycling. And what there is for the younger generations, there's scholarships. There's a lot of opportunity. So as you know, as I was racing, it never really was for money. It was mainly for, you know, your own self-worth. There's not money in it like there is football or baseball.
What about bicycle movies? We were talking about this. You don't see any more bicycle movies.
Cool Runnings had like that one clip.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, like he was doing marathon runs. You don't see like
Three Ninjas, they had a bike scene.
There's like I mean, you don't see a lot of it. You see like maybe some BMX stuff, but you never see like a story on, unless it's like Lance Armstrong, which, you know, his steroid thing was a big talk. Whether he won the 7 tours, was it France?
Yeah, the Tour de France. Yeah,
7. You know, people are like, no, he was cheating. I think a lot of people in every sport use enhanced drugs.
Right, they do. Baseball
for sure, MMA, football. They're all. I mean, Did you?
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Was the motto.
Have you ever competed against people that you knew were on?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Did you ever get into it?
I didn't, just because 1, I didn't want to do that to my body, and 2, I wasn't that worried about it. Like, you know, I kind of wanted to see what the human body could do against a body that was pumped up. Like, let's see,
like Rocky versus the Russian.
To me, it gave me that extra. Like, I'm gonna put the fire in big time because I know you just doped up, you know. Now on the amateur level, it's not as big of a deal as it is in the pro level. And I think as you know, we're coming into 2022, so I think things are starting to regress definitely more what can the human body do. I almost thought that there should be 2 classes, one for someone that wants to blow themselves up and one for someone that wants to do it natural, but there just wasn't. So
because you look at bodybuilding, I mean, bodybuilding is, I mean, that's what makes the sport, is being on steroids, being big,
right?
You know, being larger than life. Look at The Rock and people like that. Like, you see that kind of build, like
attitude era, right? Wrestling.
I mean, but on the big tours like that, I mean, there's got to be a lot of training. There's got to be a lot of like, pressure. It's got to be hell.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Is it like you're born to ride? Your parents are raising you for that.
I watched some of your videos and I just like looking at your shit. Like, you must got, number one, I watched one of the videos. You must got hit by a car. But I was like watching you come off these bikes, and it's like you're just drenched.
Oh yeah,
and you can barely talk, and you're trying to capture these videos, and you're like
trying to be as real as possible. Yeah, I can't even breathe, you know. But I like doing that to myself. To me, it's a high. You know, I replaced drinking and drugs with athletics. You know, so I've got an addictive personality, and I love going out there pushing that hard. You know, I like pitting myself against another man. because in today's society, we're nice to each other and we should be. You shouldn't get mad at someone because they cut you off in traffic.
Have you ever punched anybody when you're racing a bike?
No, when I was racing a bike.
What about road rash? You ever played that game where you have weapons?
I've got some friends that will bump and grind. We'll bump and grind.
Like shoulder to shoulder.
Oh,
like,
yeah, you're bumping me. I'm
get out of my
back,
way.
But I think competition has got more friendly.
I'm saying like 80s and 90s.
80s. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, did you ever
When was the most cutthroat? Was that the 80s?
Oh, yeah. The 80s were, especially in Colorado, and we were in the Mecca and everybody was trying to get known. Everybody's trying to get noticed. And it got brutal out there. It really did get brutal. That's why I say I grew up in some tough locker rooms. I've been through it. And racing is so much different nowadays. It really is, especially on the amateur level.
And you got to be careful now with social media.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything's caught on camera.
Yeah.
You don't know if there's a camera in a tree or what. So, but I think just in general, people are more compassionate to each other. But there is still that spark of competitiveness. Even we just had the Gulf Coast Marathon a couple weeks ago. So I lined up with some guys and I was looking for guys basically had a little gray in their hair, because those are my competition. These 15, 16-year-old kids that can do 5-minute miles, I can't do that anymore. So there's one guy that took off from the line. And of course, I was up at the front of the line. I had to be honest with people. I'm like, hey, if you guys ever wanted to kick me, now's the opportunity. I just came off of Christmas season. I haven't had time to run. Kick me while I'm down, And this one guy shot off and he had gray in his hair. He was doing 6-minute miles. That's fast for me. And I watched him take off. I'm like, here's another human being beating me. Like I'm not putting up with this, but I can't catch him, So I said, if I could just keep him in my sight, when I get to the bridge, Biloxi Bay Bridge, I'll see if I can catch him there. And I did. I struggled, but I kept him in my sight. And as I'm catching him up that bridge, I gave him a fair shot rather than drafting him and just sticking behind him. I went shoulder to shoulder with him, looked him in the eye and said, gray hair. Like, keep an eye on me. I'm about ready to kick your butt.
Oh, shit.
And you know what he did? He looked me right in the eye with fire. And he said, I'm not going to let you. And we battled all the way to the line. I mean, it was mano y mano. And at the end of it, we met. He was from Sarasota, Florida. He's going to do 50 marathons over the next couple of years. He's a really cool cat. But at that moment, I did. It was warfare.
Okay.
It was legal. Like you've got to be nice to people at that time. When we have that number, it's not bad sportsmanship, but it's like, I'm going to get you. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm going to get you. And it brings out that
there's
adrenaline.
A lot of shit talking.
Absolutely. And then you feel so good afterwards.
Oh, shit.
Everybody just hugs all sweaty.
Yeah, we basically did. We hugged all sweaty and like, man, that was awesome. And I'm sure me and that guy are going to be friends for years.
How's the bike culture growing in Biloxi?
That's one of my favorite questions. Thank you, Ross. It is growing leaps and bounds. I mean, now we're not doing the Friday night ride again until, the time changes, but towards the end of last season, our Friday night ride was 80 to 90 people every Friday.
That's when I would see y'all riding down
And the
Howard.
bike culture is just fantastic. Now, we're still doing unofficial. Like they're not letting me stop the Friday night fun rides. So people still showing up to the shop. But just in general, not even the Friday night rides. I mean, every day there's some kind of ride. There's some kind of event. Every weekend there's something going on. I've got to thank Gulf Coast Bicycle Club for that because it's one of those clubs that encompasses everything from beach riding.
Ain't there like a director? I watched a video. You were talking. Is there a director?
Eddie Holmes.
Eddie Holmes,
principal, retired principal from the Long Beach school system, I believe. Everybody knows Eddie Holmes. He is a fantastic ambassador for cycling. And Biloxi has been great. The city of Biloxi has treated us very, very well. They welcome cycling back.
Do you think we're gonna have a BMX park in Biloxi?
Yes, we actually have a lot of it approved already. We're going to get a pump track under the I-110, so it's going to be.
What is the pump track?
It's a small BMX track that brings in community members from all ages. So
like
it's a small
you
BMX
get
track.
ollies and
grinds, and you kind of pump through it. It's fun, and it's catching on like wildfire through cities all across America. The Biloxi pump track. Now, if that takes off and people start using it, there are some plans to put an actual BMX racetrack in Biloxi.
Whoa.
But that's going to take a little bit of, let's see how many people
use the city behind this, or y'all raising y'all's own money?
No, city's behind this.
I love it.
The city has been very gracious to us. They love
Shut up, Peter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I like Peter. Peter's been very
It's got to
instrumental.
be Peter going like,
Yeah.
Peter sees vision.
Peter sees vision.
Yeah, he just named me on the economic development committee.
Oh, I'm on
Yeah.
it too. So
yeah, well, I'll see you January.
yeah,
or
that's
a couple
gonna.
weeks.
It's a great
I'm
committee.
excited to see what happens there.
One thing, like I've been going to the Biloxi Businessmen's Club, and when I first came into that club, I saw a lot of history in Biloxi that cares about Biloxi, keeping the culture of Biloxi, but also moving it forward. So thankfully, our fathers and our grandfathers here on the Gulf Coast provided economic stability.
Yep.
And our culture nowadays, we want more. We're a little bit selfish. We want lifestyle opportunity to go with the economics. If you want to move to the Gulf Coast to make money, you can do that.
Yeah.
People do that for a few years and they move away.
I want to see a bunch of y'all just doing backflips.
Okay, well, we're going to do it January 25th. There's an event coming where we're going to be doing an exhibition. There's going to be an exhibition.
Do you ever think you're gonna have like Nitro Circus here?
Well, I'm sure Biloxi would welcome that. It could happen, so it's not far fetched. There's some multi-sport events, some big multi-sport events that we bring in, and there's something. I just met with Coastal Mississippi. Coastal Mississippi is pretty
My friend's wife
influential,
works there.
and they let me have an audience there, and they liked what I said. So we're getting ready to have some big events in Biloxi.
All right, I'm thinking. Just hear me out, Bart. All right, you've seen the Red Bull where they push the thing off the cliff and it's like a group of guys.
The plane.
I'm thinking that we do a bicycle with like nitrous in it, and it shoots you off a ramp, and you see how far you can go out into the water.
I love the
and
way you
land
think.
down.
Would you do it?
I would absolutely do it, and I would sponsor other people to do it. And I could almost guarantee that the city would be into this.
All right.
There's like no leaps and bounds with they're not putting any restrictions on it. They say,
we got a
let's
buddy.
have fun in Biloxi.
We got a buddy. His name's Steve, and he has Cellivate
Okay.
drinks.
Yeah.
Probably talk to him, see if he can.
He'd probably do it.
He'd probably sponsor because it's an
Okay.
energy drink, but they use all kinds of like, I forgot all the vitamins he has in it, but it's a really good. We had one a day.
I just think that.
Could you imagine doing it off the Biloxi fishing pier?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it would.
I mean,
work,
at
though.
what there's certain height where it would kind of probably be dangerous.
right?
but
We can
there's also
find out what that
find out what that
threshold
is and just stay right underneath it.
We can do it. I why not do it in Biloxi? There's so many things. Like I just came back from a tourism conference. Why not Biloxi? And people, they turn this event around with me. I me candid with my phone. I went up to the president of the association. I said, why would a little bike shop from Biloxi come to something like this? And she turned it around and she said, Bart, Biloxi is the talk. Biloxi is the buzz. Like, why aren't you guys doing this stuff in Biloxi? And I said, well, look, we've got it open. We've got people that want it. We've got a city that wants it. And I don't see any reason why we can't bring some of the economic value to it. One, we've got all the rooms to put people in. We've got the restaurants. We've got friendly people. People love to visit Biloxi because Biloxians are friendly. And when I say Biloxians, I mean people on the Gulf Coast. That means Gulfport.
Yeah, Gulfport. We'll let you guys in the club.
It wouldn't be that much to make it like. There's got to be a lot of freestyle riding in other downtown areas where it's like that's big now. And I'm saying like the BMX bikes is like that's crazy. Like it's a big culture.
We just had Red Bull in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. Did anybody even know Red Bull was in New Orleans for the flatland competition?
No.
Well, when Biloxi does it, we're going to let everybody know so people know and come.
I like it.
Yeah. Why didn't the Tourism Council of New Orleans say this is important? We're going to have Red Bull that hadn't been done in 4 years. I believe it's 4 years because of COVID and everything else. It was phenomenal. What these guys did on bikes was great. And when kids in school see this stuff, there was a video and all the kids were clapping. They're engaged. They were liking it.
Is it like X Games, like just hitting big ramps?
This was flatland. So it was basically people doing tricks on flatland. And what people do is absolutely
insane.
Phenomenal. I don't know if you can pull any of that up.
Let's get some flatland.
It's flatland in New Orleans. 2 weeks ago, and it's a Red Bull. So we're talking about Red Bull in New Orleans.
We talked about events, and that's like with the Pink Dress Run. When we start doing that, I think it just takes cities to see what you've done. Like when we first were doing our stuff, we didn't get any kind of spotlight on us.
Right.
And then as we started seeing our development and growth, then they're like, okay, let's invest. And they just see, need social media coverage, and that's what cities want.
That's what cities want.
They want to see their city shine light outside, and
lifestyle opportunities, healthy stuff, you know.
Treat a city like a city's a business.
It's right.
It really is.
I mean, it is a business, and they want to see development. They're like, okay, well, that bike, if we do a ramp show and you send it,
You might have to do the ramp show.
Like, here's some of that flat line. What these guys do on bikes is absolutely amazing. I mean, and if you set up something like that, and you know how easy it is to set up something like this and let people watch it.
So, yeah, you got a camera.
We're gonna have a big event. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a lighted bicycle ride in Biloxi, January 25th. We're gonna put lights on our bikes and ride down the beach. And I'm talking 200 plus bicyclists. So it's going to make awesome video. If there's any photographers out there, please sign up and take some pictures of this, because just riding bikes with lights is fun. And you know, as adults, we all have cars with lights. There's something fun about putting a light on a bike and riding your bike, and for all ages, not just for kids, but for all ages.
What do you think about the Josh has the bicycle bar?
I think it's cool.
Yeah, and now we had that downtown Biloxi a little while. We rode on it.
Yeah, you don't actually have to steer it. He does all that.
That's
you
pretty
just
cool.
pedal,
and it does show other parts of Biloxi. You know, so as everybody's having a good time, drinking in a safe way, Josh is riding you around on that bike. You get to see the View Marche.
Was it Mississippi party bike?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Mississippi party bike.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever won anything cool in a bike race? I mean, like not. Yeah, tell me about it.
I won a soft ride bike, which was a expensive bike. I won a bike in a bike race.
Okay.
And I had a friend going to Ironman Kona in Hawaii. And this was like the newest bike on the market. Now, this is 12 years ago. So that anybody remembers a soft ride, that technology is come and gone. But I gave him that soft ride because it was the best bike. I said, "You're going to Kona, take my bike." And he got it stolen while I was there.
Oh, no.
Got it stolen.
What about not an award, but like a grudge match? Like, I'm better than you, and I'm going to put this on the line to prove that I'm better than you. Have you ever?
Well, yeah. I mean, I won a motorcycle.
I love it.
Won a motorcycle.
Tell me about this story.
Tell me. And this was a Buell, and it was actually one of Eric Buell's brother Scott, and this was in a pretty heated battle competition, and I ended up winning this motorcycle from this guy because he opened up his mouth and said, "I'll bet my motorcycle against it." And at the time I had a Toyota truck. I said, "Well, I'll bet my Toyota truck. Let's get this thing on the road."
How long ago was this?
Probably 12 years ago. 12 years ago.
You still have the bike? You sold the bike?
I did. I sold the bike here in Mississippi. So I kept it for quite a few years, and it was.
Did you just ride circles around him on it after you won it from him?
Absolutely, I rubbed it in, like he would have me.
Yeah.
So you're saying, right? You have a lot of enemies.
I try not to anymore, but you know it happens. You know, competition.
I love this dude.
You know, competition breeds competition. You know, and it's thoroughbreds. Like, you know, when you're talking about trying to calm people down, sometimes people get on that high, and you know, you get a thoroughbred that's all pumped up on competition. That could be the nicest guy in the world, but at that moment, it's like catching a fish, how they get so colorful.
Yeah.
You know, you catch one of those dolphins, and it's you put it in a cooler for a while and it gets gray.
Yeah.
But
Have you had anybody, like, you know, since you do their bikes, because of person's performance, have they called you up screaming at you, blaming you because is your fault for the bike?
Oh yeah. We try not to have that happen much. So really, especially when people are going into high. I mean, I've got something special right now at the shop. A guy named Merlin, one of the top 3 bicycle mechanics in the world. And of course, he's worked all the top races.
Merlin.
He
So
sounds
like
Merlin.
he sounds like, what is it?
And that is his real
King
name.
Arthur?
Yeah, he will live
Does he
up
have long
to
hair?
that too. He does. He's got a beautiful beard. You guys got to meet Merlin.
Okay.
I wonder if
we
he's
need Merlin
really
on the show. Merlin?
He is like
You're
Merlin.
invited.
Yeah, I mean, he says some stuff that's pretty mythical.
Could be reincarnated.
I'm just getting to know the guy, you know, for the most part. He's legendary. And anybody that's going into competition that wants their bike touched by Merlin, he is not scared of anything. So I've got a race team going to the gravel race, Mississippi Gravel Cup this weekend. And the whole race team will have their bikes tuned up by Merlin on the way back.
Do you have like a computer that people come and pick the colors and can actually custom build the bike?
We can. Yeah, we can do that. We can. It's pricey, but some people, that's what they want.
Yeah,
They want
want
You
yeah.
get a level of that 10 grand bike. I mean, they they already know what they're paying for.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're
I mean, if you're going to spend 10, 15 grand, you might want to just
You're
deck out
doing your
own bike.
research on
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Is these bikes are they from America or are they from overseas?
Most of them are from overseas. Really,
I know Dad was talking about the kayaks, the Epic kayak. They make somewhere down in South America or something like that.
I mean, I love to offer some of the American-made products, and I can, like Allied and Box Components. They're built out of Arkansas. But when people come in and they ask, is it American made? I said, well, Shimano's not America.
No,
SRAM's not America. A lot of these frames are assembled in America.
Is there any American bikes?
There's very few, Allied. But when I show people the price of the Allied, and I said, I can, and I think personally, we all need to get,
though.
Huffy is, they're not even a real thing anymore. They're department stores.
Who's that one dude that killed himself?
Oh, that was Matt Hoffman.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
he had a bike.
There's a lot of small brands that are still made in the United States, and more coming. Cannondale's coming back to the United States, which is great. Allied, this is a company I've mentioned a few times, but when I show people what the price of an American-made bike is going to cost compared to what a Specialized is going to cost, it's an American company.
Do you ever see yourself growing outside of the bike realm, rollerblades,
K2 fatties would be fun. Yeah.
I would love a more outdoor
one wheels.
Yeah, now one wheel. We are a one wheel dealer.
Oh, y'all are one wheel
but we
dealer.
just got a letter from the Consumer Commission saying we can't sell them right now. Remember when 3-wheelers all of a sudden got banned?
Yeah.
One wheels just got banned. Yeah, you can pull that up on YouTube. I've been trying to follow it because I'm trying to figure out if I can still sell these things or not.
Yeah, you probably got a whole bunch of inventory sitting.
The batteries go out, like Brandon Davis had a one wheel, and the battery went low, and he went over the handle. I mean, he went off of it. They go like 20. They're 2 miles an hour.
And we have so many people that love these things. I hate that they're getting taken away.
Okay, what about the just the scooters, the electric scooters?
A lot of electric scooters are still sellable now. I don't sell it. I don't. I've had the Unagi before. Once again, it was a brand that I trusted. There's so much stuff out there that I bought that building. I've got to be there for about 17 years and look at my customer in the eyes. I can't sell junk, and there's so much junk on the market, especially in the electric bike market and electric scooter market.
I've seen the ones like in Colorado, and we just went riding around. I guess the Lyft has them.
Some of them are really
They're
cool,
fun,
but if I can't support them and they don't have parts for me for when my customers come back in with a broken something, I'm really picky about what I sell out of there. And I think some of these products are awesome. So, but I do have a lot of people that come by every day with broken stuff and say, "Hey, can you fix this?" And I can't get parts for it. You bought something from the internet that you thought was a legit company, and then you can't get parts for it. I can't get parts for it.
Right. I'm into the ruckus scene. I started into I was the first one with a GY6 down here.
Those are cool.
I always ride by your shop, by the white one.
Yeah, okay.
It's stretched out the big wheel.
That thing's awesome.
And y'all are always on y'all's bicycles.
I've been a fan of ruckus for a long time. I've never owned one, but
I always drive by your shop, and you always have the bicycles out there, and I just rev up. It's Corey. Corey knows I'm on there. Yeah, that's it right there.
Oh, that thing's cool.
But I got bit by that, and I seen there's yep. Show the tricycle photo.
Yeah, where's our tricycle photo?
Is that in there? But I got into there's an underground scene. I have met people from Hawaii, Japan, Houston, New Orleans, Miami, Knoxville, Tennessee. There's a lot in California. Washington, Seattle, and there's so many groups, but they all come together because it's like a niche. Right here, there's probably, there's some grime riders, but
what's a grime rider?
That's a monkey bike. It's a 125cc shift bike.
Yeah, the Grom. Yeah,
the Grom. But I'm not a fan of it because the Ruckus came out first, and then they developed pretty much the Grom because the Ruckus was popular. I don't want to shift. I just want to drive like a golf cart, like your golf cart.
Okay.
At a Grom, there's 4 gears.
Right.
And if I'm going to shift 4 gears, I had my first bike was a Gixxer 1000. So
I had one of those.
So if I'm going to shift, a bigger bike. That's just my personal, because I don't want to shift 4 times to get to 70.
Right.
All right. So Misha says, Bart, you've soared off the porch. Why not off up here? Have you soared off the porch?
I did soar off the porch. So we had an incident where we lost part of the back railing for the porch. So I built up a bike and put the camera in one of my employees' hands. And I said, "Hey, ask me why I'm not going to jump off the porch." And so I just jumped that bike off the back porch. A pretty good gap.
Did it for the gram?
Yeah, I did it for the gram. I should have probably looked at the landing and made sure I had the correct shoes. And I didn't do any. I just flew it off the back porch, but made for a great video.
No rusty nails down there or anything.
No, I so far survived all that.
What made spandex popular in the bike world?
Speed. Well, it's a breathable fabric, but we're talking about marginal gain. So anytime you have a wrinkle, anytime you have something that's going to catch any air, it does slow you down. Spandex is nice and smooth. Lets that air go right over. You wouldn't think it makes that big of a
Do you
difference.
shave your arms and legs when you're actually like,
I don't. Most cyclists do. So I still have my original hair, and I've actually been kicked off of race teams because they've handed me
You
the
refused
razor.
to.
Yeah, and I said, no, that's not me.
so
but-
George wants to know how he can join a race team.
Well, we've got to go through a tryout, George, and you've got the right attitude. You just don't have the experience yet. But I'll be happy to help you gain that experience.
What are the qualifications of
Damn,
a
so
race
it's like,
team?
I mean, it's hard to get in.
So me and Jordan aren't just joining. I was going to ask for honorary membership
Right.
just for having you on the show. but-
Okay, well, yeah, honorary is good. And we do, I mean,
I will cut brake lines.
Oh, okay, you're in.
Yeah.
You're in. We just can't put BIloxi Bicycle Works on your jersey.
That's okay. That's
We'll,
okay.
we'll do
We'll
something
come up with our own jerseys.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
the renegades of
Mhm.
I mean, but I
Heat
will
seekers.
I will flatten tires.
Man, I like your style.
I'll do some dirty shit. Yeah.
Okay, so
you come from the 80s. I like this.
What
you
is
were
there-
in that locker room with me back in
what
the
do
day.
you do to, I mean, gain the upper edge on a bicycle? So you and I, we both have the same exact bike.
Right.
Okay, we're the same one that you showed us earlier. We're equal. How can I trick my bike out to be maybe slightly illegal, or what can I do there?
Super tune. Of course, there's ceramic bearings. There's a lot of fit. The same bike, if someone's got a better fit than someone, and we're not talking about fitness, but you actually fit that bike and you're able to put power to it. So there's a lot you can do to machinery. You can buy
Can you
speed.
do that at your shop?
Oh, absolutely. We sell speed all day long.
Really?
Yeah, we sell speed.
So whenever you're pedaling, do you push down? Do you push out?
I roll in circles.
You roll in
I
circles.
roll in circles. If you think about the wheels are a circle, the cranks are a circle, the chain is a series of circles. You've got to pedal in circles. People that just pedal in squares, that's good for everyday cyclists. But when you're competing, you've got to compete. You got to spin.
Do you teach lessons?
Yes, not so much right now, every day, but that's part of our thing in 2023. We're going to be doing a lot of experiential. We're going to be doing a lot of clinics.
Are you a fan of like the Peloton?
I'm a fan of exercise.
Yeah.
To me, that's more of an indoor spin.
Call them out. Call the
you
people
know,
out right now. You got a platform.
Well, yeah, and Peloton, I've seen some of the quality go downhill.
But what
over
makes go like? Would you better experience? You think they should go to your place, buy a bike from you, and ride with your group than sit on a Peloton by yourself?
Absolutely. One, if you have a problem with a bike you buy from me, you can get it fixed. Right now, go try to get your Peloton fixed. You can't deal with a local.
People come in there and ask to.
We get asked to do house calls a lot on Pelotons, and of course, we just don't have the staff for the
Need a
time.
Peloton.
Do you do
Merlin.
trade-ins?
Yes, we can do a trade-in program, absolutely, but it's got to be. We can't just trade in an older bike that doesn't have any value.
I would say, do you consignment? Like if you were
Not so much consignment, just we don't have the floor space for it, and then there's some insurance concerns with the consignment too.
Well, what do you do if someone trades in the bike? You just keep it. You
We
eat
send
you
it off
sell it?
to we've got some companies we send it off to. I like the Pros Closet. They buy used bikes. It takes that liability away from me. If I sell a used bike, I pretty much have to break that thing down all the way and rebuild it to make sure everything's torqued, to make sure everything's safe. The time involved in that is just it doesn't
Unheard
make
of.
financial sense. So we do a trade-in program. We box that bike up and
How
send
about
it off.
financing?
Yeah, we do financing. I don't do it myself. Someday I would love to be the bank, but right now we use some third-party finance companies. So Klarna, Synchrony, stuff like that. Eventually, I'd love to be financed myself. I'm just not quite
Can
there
somebody
yet.
go in there and finance a $16,000 bike?
That's what a lot of people do. So a lot of people.
What's the year rate on that? Normally?
Depends on your credit and
Yeah.
what you set up.
Have you seen them go like 7 years,
I've seen them go 5.
5 years?
I've seen them go 5. Yeah. A lot of times it's 1 year interest free, 2 years interest free, something like that. But
So if you're if you're looking to get into it,
There are options here.
Yeah.
you have plenty of options. for
oh
you.
yeah, plenty of options.
How many different bright bikes do you sell in the shop right now?
I've got about 5 different brands. I'm trying not to do too much more than that. One, I've got limited square feet, and I really believe in the brands I'm selling. Especially when it comes to like this e-bike is the new popular thing. I love e-bikes. I promote e-bikes. I will work on any e-bike. I'll only sell a handful.
What's an e-bike?
An e-bike is a bike that's got electrical propulsion to it, so it assists you. It's really cool. It's quiet. It's helping people. A lot of people find health and fitness. It's drawing a lot of people to the Gulf Coast. A lot of people coming to the Gulf Coast. Yeah, it's like electric moped.
If you don't want to pedal, you just does 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
They run what, $2,000, $3,000?
Around $2,000 for an economical one. You know, I really won't sell anything less than that. Once again, I can't find anything worth selling.
You definitely want to wear your helmets because I had a buddy of mine's wife. She face planted on the beach.
Oh yeah, helmets are important. It's not mandatory, but it's definitely important. To wear.
I think
I wear a helmet.
You've been hit.
Do you sell helmets?
I do.
Spandex?
I sell spandex and helmets.
Can you buy BIloxi Bicycle Works spandex?
Absolutely.
Even if we're not on the team?
Yes.
Do we need it?
Yeah.
Do we need it?
What is that?
Does the zipper come down like
what's
where our man meat can hang out?
Triathlon ones, about $60 for.
I think we should.
But I think we can get you guys covered.
But I think we should do it. I'll just wear it around. I got a fly llama in it. I'll be like, I don't have to have a bicycle.
I've got some cool tank tops and stuff too, and I do have one with a zipper. But that's more of a triathlon.
Yeah, could you imagine us three walking in downtown, just walking around and not like?
Do you think people would look at us differently because we weren't bikers? Do you think your biker friends that probably, because don't you know there's people that want to hang out with you? You're good at it, so they want to be around you. Like you said, success breeds success and birds of a feather fly. But if you just walked into a bar with a couple, pretty in shape guys like me and Jordan, do you think they would get jealous of us?
They're probably a little bit of jealous, and I probably sell a lot. They'll come in the next day.
I like their little hats too. Like, what's the little hat y'all wear?
Yeah, the little cycling caps, and the bicycle jerseys have a pocket. They come addictive. I mean, it's nice to have when you get used to having pockets back here.
That's right. And
I like your jerseys. They're badass.
Yeah, we really did try to make it, BIloxi for sure. We wanted to show BIloxi and the potential of BIloxi, what we have to be health and fitness, so BIloxi is posed for greatness with, a healthy, not only a community, but bringing a lot of events into Biloxi. They can fill the casinos. They can fill the restaurants.
You already know there's got to be some kind of convention.
And we can have it right here. Biloxi is in such a good spot for it geographically. We have great weather. We have nice people. We have open roads, and we've got a community that wants this. We've got leaders that see the potential.
What are some of the negative things that you've heard about bikes, if any?
Well, a lot of times around here, you get, where do we ride? And we don't have great cycling infrastructure here. If you are a cyclist and you know where to ride, you can. But if you're a tourist that comes down here and just brings a bike, you really have some struggles.
Can only get you so far.
Yeah, exactly. The beach sidewalk. I mean, we took a group down the beach sidewalk, over the weekend. There were 6 crashes. It's if you know what you're doing, it's fun. If you pay attention, it's fun. But it's not purpose-built bicycle
that wind
path.
Though that wind gets you too.
That's where the e-bike is, and you grab an e-bike in a windy day is a beautiful thing.
Do you have a bike with the where it's a disc on the back like a frisbee?
We do, and it's for aerodynamics.
That's what we need.
Yeah,
and I want one of the long helmets.
Yeah, the big with the Oakleys.
They're kind of going out of style, but we still have one. I have one.
Do you have an old setup like in the shop? It's just like hanging down that you'll never get rid of, like.
I've got some in the back. I don't have them hanging around, but we're working on some new decor. But I've got some cool old bikes. I've had Mr. Sweatman give me a couple cool bikes. So and we usually at least once or twice a year we have a vintage bike show, and that's when all the cool old.
What's your oldest bike?
I've got a 1920s in there. It's a kid's bike, so it's.
Is it like the ones with the big front tire and the big small back tires like you see?
Those are pretty cool. I like those. But what I have is it's a solid tire kid's bike from the 1920s. It was, in Biloxi here. So that bike is really cool. We've got some good collectors that bring bikes.
It's just making it harder to ride like an old bike now that you have new technology.
It is. I look at the vintage bike show one that I did for the
just back to the hipsters,
the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean it is a hipster. I mean,
I was riding a borrowed bike and we're on the back bay. I usually have really good things to say about bikes. And everybody's like, Bart, how's that bike? I'm like, it just doesn't ride good. It looks cool, but there's something about the new geometry.
That's kind of like that. Like I always call it like the hipster thing. Like you see it with the beers, and you see like a certain style where people like. I mean, I'm hipster on the fact that I've never not worn a members only jacket since my teens. And that's just like I still to this day.
Man.
When you see me, I wear members only jackets all the time. So I still have them, and I wear them. I mean, I wear a hoodie and a members only jacket.
Right.
But I see there's this culture now where you're like getting that nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
It is really popping, but it kind of sucks too because It drives price.
Oh, it does drive price.
And it's tough. We're talking about that. I think me and Garrett were talking about the bourbons. You know, they got the social media's got the dad bourbon group where most of the guys don't drink the bourbons, but they collect them.
Right.
So you can't go get an Eagle Rare at $30 anymore. Now they're 55. Do you have that in the bike world too?
Absolutely. Even like some of the old tires that would
you
go
can
on an old
create
Schwinn or
value
something.
of some of these things.
It's hard to find. Some parts are getting very hard to find, just like on a classic car. Even trying to buy retro parts is expensive now.
Now you're talking about 3D printed things earlier.
3D printing is coming on strong. It's the opposite of basically what you're talking about. You know, 3D printed is the new thing. Our 3D printed seats are great. The new mile record or hour record is on a 3D printed bike. That's probably going to be UCI banned here pretty soon.
What's the mileage on that?
God, I forget what it was, but it was incredible. What he did in 1 hour was,
And that's rims and everything?
rims and everything.
Tires,
yeah,
too?
Yeah, 3D printed is really coming on strong.
You ever see yourself buying one of those?
Oh yeah. I want a 3D printed machine in my shop that'll custom 3D print people's seats.
That's pretty neat.
I mean, it's coming. It's coming.
Seats are
I'll have
important.
it. Seats are very
what about
important.
cushioned pants? That used to be a thing. Is that
It's-
still a thing?
Absolutely. And a lot of people will look at my racing saddle that I have my bike and they're like, how do you sit on that? Well, your cushion's in your pants. You know, your
Oh, you got ass pads.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You start using
Cushion for the cushion.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's ass pads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're great. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, when people come in to buy a bike and they're kind of stepping up into the road bike scene and stuff, a lot of times they're not thinking spandex, they're not thinking cushion pants and stuff like that. They come in later and they're
You
like,
got like lock shoes and
hey,
shit.
do you have some of those pants with the pads in them? I'm like, yeah.
Some of the stuff that won't rub my nipples off.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got the chamois cream, just all this stuff that people come in
Do
later.
you
for.
have, if somebody wants to go in there, do you have it in stock?
Oh yeah, in stock.
How does that contract come? You have to go reach out to those people and say, hey, I want to sell your product. Or did they find you and say, hey, we see what you're doing. Would you be interested in selling this?
Right now, they're finding me. You know, I mean, during COVID when things were harder to get, of course, you know, you had to go search stuff out. But now that inventory is coming back in, I get calls. Hey,
Awesome.
you know, we see what you're doing at BIloxi Bicycle Works. Will you consider our product? You know, and then it's up to me to
That's
do
a
the
good
research
feeling,
and
dog.
see if
Yeah.
I want to bring that in.
Is
or
there
not.
like a Volkswagen group of the bike world? Like,
oh yeah,
you know, like Volkswagen owns like Lamborghini, Audi.
There's you know, I'm working with a couple big vendors that really own a lot of the cycling, you know, products. So, you know, some of our vendors own Cannondale and they'll own 5 or 6 different brands. And, you
They
know,
take you on sick bicycle trips where they're like trying to lure you in.
I have been invited. With me being short staffed in the shop, I've had to turn down a lot of invitations, but I hope to take advantage of those in the future. I
Yeah.
don't want to keep saying
You're still,
no.
I mean,
Well,
this
it's
is
hard to
what your
find good
third year in business?
Yeah,
Or-
3rd year in business, and the cycling industry is very specialized. So
And did you ever once think you would have gotten on this level of where you're at?
I was sure hoping I would. You know, I'd always
so you
wanted-
had that in the back of your mind.
Yeah,
You
I've
you
been
knew the potential.
I've been developing relationships in the bicycle industry for 30 something years. I've had some of the biggest vendors say, when are you going to open up a bicycle shop, Bart? And when I finally called them and said I was going to do it, they were pretty
Were you
happy.
scared?
Absolutely, especially when they gave me a kind of an ultimatum. You know, they said, well, Bart, is this something you want to do as a retired gig, or are you going to, you know, leave your career and open up the bike shop full time? And I said, well, I still want to have my career in a bicycle shop. And they said, no, we want you to be the face of the shop if you're going to do this. So it was pretty much, you know, leave a long-term career to take that leap of faith, you know.
Are you, you know, like me and Matt have an insurance agency. Do you have any partners or anybody that's been a big part of this?
Oh yeah, I've got a business partner named Daniel. He lives over in the UK right now. Originally, that wasn't the plan. His wife was in the Air Force, and shortly after we opened up the bike shop, he's like, I've got to move to the UK. And I'm like, well, we got this. You know, I mean, there's a lot of modern technology that, you know, keeps us in
Absolutely.
contact quite a bit. And he's still a very integral part of the bicycle shop, even with his office in the UK. We had a meeting with him this morning and the rest of the staff over Zoom. So
how many guys or how many staff do you guys have now?
we were at 11. Right now we're down to about 8. We do have an online business, so the online business is not as strong as the brick and mortar right now. When our online business is pumping, I would like a lot more employees. You know, I would like a lot more.
And
employees.
it's a good bit. I mean,
it is.
How many mechanics?
Right now, we're up to 4.
Are you a mechanic?
I am a mechanic.
And
So I'm
who's the
one of
laziest
those.
employee you have?
Who is the laziest employee I have? I'll blame Daniel because he's in the UK and we can't see what he's doing all the time. But you know, I
know,
can't
Daniel.
keep an eye on him every minute. Like everybody I have in the shop right now is very everybody's pulling together as a team to make this thing the best
Gotta
bike
love it,
shop we
dude.
can.
Gotta love
And
it.
not that Daniel's not, but we can't see him every day.
That's how I know. I feel
so
the joke.
right
so let's
here-
blame the guy that's not here.
So right here in this camera, you can just say whatever, tell them how they can find you, phone number, whatever. We've had an hour and a half. It's been a great show. Would you come down for part 2?
Oh, absolutely. I want to have you guys. Well, this studio's so comfortable.
We can
but-
do it anyway.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
love to do something somewhere. But yeah, I am Bart Luther from BIloxi Bicycle Works. We're a little shop in downtown Biloxi, but we want to be more than just a bike shop. We want to be part of a pillar of the community.
I think you're on your way.
We're really working on some other things that aren't even about selling bikes. We want to help the Gulf Coast become mobile, healthy, happy, vibrant. We want to give kids things to do. You know, right now Biloxi doesn't have a lot of things for kids to do.
That's right.
We want to change that. You know, we want families to come to the Gulf Coast, to live in the Gulf Coast and want to stay here and have the next generation here. And to
That's
do
awesome.
that, we have got to make this place mobile. We've got to be the city of the future. Never forget our past, but we've got to be the city of the future. And alternate ways of transportation are the ways to do that. Why are people flocking to the cities? Because they don't have to drive their cars everywhere. We're
Right
very
on.
car dependent. And if we can curb that a little bit, then that's part of my mission, what I want to do. I want to provide jobs for people in the Gulf Coast.
I love it.
So,
Same.
Can we offer bicycle insurance?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
all right.
If you
Hit
need
us
auto
up.
or bicycle insurance, Golden
We're here.
Gulf Insurance.
All right. And thank you
Bart,
guys.
Thank you so much, man.
I got to say something about you guys. You guys have been talking about me a lot, but watching this show and meeting you guys helps me. I didn't grow up on the Gulf Coast, but I meet so many friends through you guys' show. I mean, you guys are great for the Gulf Coast and what you do. And it definitely makes me feel at home. I know I'm supposed to be here.
We appreciate
You know,
that,
I
man. That
know
means a
I'm
lot.
supposed to be here. And some of the guests you've had, like Andrew and Nick, some of these guys, you know, there's one guy I haven't met yet. You had on your show and he was fantastic. I got to meet this. He owns Marina Cantina.
Oh, Ivan.
I want to meet Ivan. I want to do a bicycle ride from my shop to your restaurant and back. Let's have a benefit.
Well, he's actually the Wells Fargo Bellows coming in.
okay.
That's him.
Oh,
So
awesome.
he's getting closer and closer downtown Biloxi.
Okay,
There's a lot-
awesome.
He's always down for doing some events.
Let's do it a benefit ride to benefit a good cause.
Oh, down.
All right. Well, hey guys, thank y'all for listening. It's
Thank you.
Happy New Year's. We got October 10th. We have Lillian and Sue with Lee Bakery and Pepe's on.
January 10th.
Is it January 10th?
October's like 9
January
months from now,
10th.
10 months from now.
January 10th. So
Yeah.
that's next week.
See y'all then.
Love you guys.
Later.
Thank y'all. Wow, that was an hour and a half.